Welcome to the Captain's Corner. This is your place to get informed about first step to recovery. And you will also get information on how we help to create healthy and safe communities. Today, we have a special guest. It's Corky. She's right now in our community. Hi, Corky.
Hello, hello.
And of course, the captain, Kath Hoffman.
Ahoy.
And
Ahoy,
I am the first
ahoy.
mate, Kirsten. And today we have a special topic. We talk about the Spring Feast that is coming up this weekend. And we have invited Corky because we have many questions. We really want to know. There's a lot of history to it. We just were talking before we went live, and Corky said that usually a feast like this is only the group of people that is organizing it take only care of it for 4 years and then it's passed on. But as we just heard, now we go in the 14th year, which is pretty amazing. So I just wanted to ask you, Corky, like how, please tell us a little bit about the Spring Feast. Like what is it and how did it come to be?
Okay, the Spring Feast is something that has become very well known in Red Deer. So way back in the day, Lynn started this little job with Safe Harbor at this little place downtown Red Deer. There were very few beds. And as I recall, he first started with nights, but it didn't work.
Yeah.
He's just one of those people that can't do nights. But as things got along, he really came to love his work at Safe Harbor, and still does. Like how many years later, he loves his job. He loves the people he works with so much. But back then, we realized, or it was mostly Lynn that realized, that the Indigenous people, for us to heal, there's one very, very important thing that we need, and that's ceremony, connection to ceremony. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. They go together. For an Indigenous person to get well, they need that connection to ceremony. They need to know where they belong, and they need to know where they can start doing the work. So over the time, Safe Harbor was a leader in our community in starting all this to come back. And we started in 2018. We were working with our adopted dad, George Goodstraker.
2008 court.
Oh, 2008. I'm sorry, you're right. And you know, we were working then with our elder, our main teacher, George Goodstraker, who adopted us according to culture, not Canadian law, and in doing so took Lynn and I as his students. So Lynn approached George and asked, this is what's lacking in our community. This is what we need. It'll help a lot of people. And then from there, it just blossomed into this beautiful, beautiful little part of Red Deer. So first off, the Sweat Lodge started, and I tell you, Kirsten, we could have a sweat every day and that Sweat Lodge would be full. Not just with Indigenous people from all over, really, really trying hard to, we've seen miracles in there.
Yeah.
We've seen people who've come in there so broken, you know, from a life of addiction, etc. And years later, they're still there, but helping now, carrying the smudge, you know, putting up the teepees. So
It gives me goosebumps. It gives me goosebumps. Court.
I know. It is a beautiful story. It really is a beautiful story.
Yeah.
And then after that, we thought, you know, we need a place with connection, with ceremony, with getting better. Sometimes we have to deal with stuff in our past. Okay. And so with the feast, we thought we'd give, you know, the feast gives people a chance to come and not only sit together in a circle, which is based on equality, no one better, no one worse, but together. A lot of people in our community need a place to land. They need a place to know where they belong, okay? And again, not just Indigenous people from all walks of life. The feast, we asked George Goodstriker to start us off that first year. He worked with Johnny Cryer from Musquecheese,
Yeah.
Samson Band First Nation, who continues to throw his arms around our community and will be here this coming Saturday, as best as he can. From there, we thought, when Kath had mentioned it, that when you take on a ceremony, when you sponsor a ceremony, you usually commit to 4 years. Okay, and then maybe someone else will step up. But the thing is, after 4 years, Lynn said, we can do another 4 years.
Yeah, he kept
And-
saying that. And
Yeah.
I agree with him every time.
And we can do
Okay.
another 4 years, and we can do another 4 years. So here it is, the 14th year.
That's so sweet.
And it's a beautiful thing. I think that first feast we had maybe 40 people, 50, I don't know. The last time we gathered publicly, which was 2 years ago, I think there was close to 200.
Wow.
And it's everybody brings food. We share out food. We feed each other, not only physically, but spiritually, emotionally, and then that works mentally.
Mm.
So it's a beautiful part of our community that our community has really stepped up to.
Now, Cork, can I ask you a question? Back in the olden days,
Mm-hmm.
The spring feast was meant to what? Bring people together after the winter, right?
After the winter.
To celebrate the spring. This is
Mm-hmm.
what I'm remembering from
Mhm.
what I was told about it.
Mhm.
And so it's that coming together of different tribes, so
Mhm.
they can come now together
Mhm.
and sit and do just what Cork was
Yeah.
talking about, that connection and healing ourselves, even just through sitting in that circle, right?
That's
So
right.
traditionally,
Mm-hmm.
it's
Yeah.
been going on for a long time.
For
And
a very
I
long
love
time. Because
Yeah.
in the Indigenous way of knowing, this is our new year. This is when we start
Mhm.
saying Happy New Year. Not
Yeah.
January 1st where champagne's popping and
Yeah.
the new leaves, the new birds, the new
Right. Yeah.
eggs. This is our new
Yes.
year.
Yeah.
So sometimes during the winter we lose people. Okay, and we
Yeah.
know, especially sometimes with the community we work with, some don't make it through winter. They call that the winter count. And this is also a time when you would come and not only remember them, but you would feed them. Hey, remember so and so? He used to love chicken wings. I'm
Yeah.
going to make some chicken wings. We're going to take it to the feast. The elder's going to
Yeah.
pray over it. And in a way, we're going to feed that person and let them know we don't forget them.
That's
So
so
Yeah.
beautiful, Corky.
it is beautiful. When you think about it, it's very, very beautiful. And that's what a lot of people are coming on Saturday. They're already saying, my dad passed a year ago. I haven't had a chance to feed him. I'm going to bring him this food on
That's so
Saturday.
cool.
Yeah, it is. And, it's, I just love it because our community seems to put differences aside at feast time and everybody comes together. And, right off the hop, we had an agency in town sponsor a water station. Right after another agency downtown that works with special needs, they're bringing hundreds of pieces of bannock. The Catholic school and public school system have sat together and made the candy bags, which are an important part of the feast. Those will
Indeed.
yeah,
Mhm.
those especially will be used to feed those children that were in the industrial school across the river. So it's become, when you call it a community feast, it truly is a community feast.
And that spot, hey, there you are at
Uh,
Fort Normandeau, just like you
Yeah,
said, right across the river.
yeah, yeah,
And here we are in this day and age,
yeah.
and honoring and remembering.
And
Ay,
not
ay,
forgetting, and if we don't
yeah.
forget, we're not going to repeat the same mistakes.
mhm.
Yeah.
Wow, yeah. I
Yeah.
was just thinking
Or
about that.
sometimes I think we are, we are just repeating our same mistakes. Like I keep I keep reading stuff in the news and I keep seeing, God, we're going backwards. We're going backwards. And so this, that's another part of that new life, a new year, a new
Yeah.
day, a new
Yeah.
hope,
Let's
you know?
try again. Let's
Let's
try
hope.
again. Okay.
And being
Mhm.
with people who are into doing that same
Yeah.
bit, you know, and therein lies a powerful
Yeah.
bunch of love.
Well,
Yeah.
that's always
That's
been Safe Harbor's premise. Let's try again. Let's
Yeah.
give them another chance. Let's love them a little more. You know?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Corky,
Well, and
can
I'm
you?
doing that even not just with the clients that we're serving, but with the people I'm working with mayor and council,
Mhm.
with the business
Mhm.
community, you know,
Yeah.
how do I, you know, what's the healing there? Ay, 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 right? And
I
opening
get
my
it.
mind and heart to the
I get it.
others,
Yeah.
you know, it's hard. And it's, yeah, but that spot for the feast, that's so cool that's the new year and
Mm-hmm.
we're gonna try again.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mhm.
Cork, what about so you mentioned a little bit about all the stuff that's been coming in from different places, and of course Alberta Health Services and United Way Fund Lynn's program. They've provided some funding for this, but I know that there's lots of people that have been very busy this week behind the scenes in preparation, and you've had some kind of little ceremony things already that are necessary for Saturday.
Yes. So one thing about our feast getting so big is one thing that was holding us back was not having good escapios. And escapios means helper, like elders helper or community helper, and they're usually young men. So on a whim, and this is the way when you live with Lynn, you got to get used to the whim, Lynn whim. He said, I'm going to call, he works with a lot of kids that are in foster care, young men. Okay, these are all young men that are getting ready. They're, you know, the gang thing's looking pretty good, the new running
Yeah.
shoes, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So Lynn called a whole bunch of these young kids and on his Lynn whim said, I want you guys to be my escapios. And he gathered them up, he talked to them, he presented them with tobacco, he asked them to really think about it before they took the tobacco, and ended
He
up,
honored them.
yes. And we thought
Okay.
there would be maybe 5 or 6. We got close to 20 young men that showed up.
Wow.
They've showed
That's
up.
so cool.
We had 3 gatherings where we would talk to the Scopios about their role in the community, not just for the feast, but for their, you know, as
Yeah.
young men. And they've all continued to show up. And this last time we all gave them, we found these really reasonable shirts at Walmart and fancied them up with ribbons, and they're light blue, and they're kind of like a spiritual gang now.
Right
They,
So
on.
cool.
they've
So
made
cool.
these friendships. 2 of them are going to cadets together. Other found out, hey, your auntie and my mom were sisters, blah, blah, blah. They're all showing up. And on Saturday, we gave them their ribbon shirts. And we also had all the women that were there, because you can't have one without the other. All the young women there pinned them with the moose hide patch. That moose hide represents doing what they can, speaking up against, fighting for no violence against women or community. So there was really this really spontaneous, beautiful thing that happened before the feast. Those young guys have helped put up all the teepees out there. That 30-foot teepee really gave us a challenge this year. And
So big.
See this?
Did you get bonked? What?
Oh
Did you
no.
get bonked?
Cookum took a teepee pole, just being solid like she is. No, but it's just one of those things that morphed. Hey, we're having a feast. Maybe this would work. And then you see other agencies doing the same thing. Let's get everybody together to make things for the feast giveaway. Or it's
Yeah,
not
that's so
just the Safe Harbor feast. It's this community thing that is happening.
Yeah, and that's what we always hoped it would be, and
Yeah.
that's so cool. What a great story about those Scorpio kids.
I know. So if you come to the feast on Saturday, look for them, congratulate them, pat them on the back. They're all going to be wearing their shirts, and to boot, the payback is all our food will be distributed faster, more efficiently, and quickly, because sometimes we didn't have enough help doing that. So necessity
Yeah,
is the mother of invention, I guess. And
yeah,
kudos to Lynn. That was all him. That was
yeah.
him.
Let's try it,
Yeah.
like you said, let's try it.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
So I have so just for people who have maybe not been there, Corky, like there is, because I'm just looking at the poster here. So there are different like sweats going on. Can
Yes.
you tell me, like for someone, like for example, I have not been to a sweat yet. So what could someone who has never been there, like what is it like? How do I have to prepare? And what is a sweat? Like what's happening?
Okay, so the sweat lodge ceremony is all about cleansing, all about letting go of what you don't want to carry anymore. And when you come out of that sweat, like I can get really deep into the teaching sometimes at another time. But when you come out of the sweat, it's about leaving behind what you don't want to carry anymore. It's something that's holding you back, physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally. So the sweat lodge ceremonies, it's always the woman who started off. So Wednesday, and all the sweats leading up to the feast are at 5 o'clock. Wednesday it's women, Thursday it's men or warrior sweat, Thursday it's co-ed, and then Friday after the sweat is when Johnny Cryer will sweat, because he has to do this sort of cleanup, because he takes a lot from the people, just like Lynn does.
Yeah.
So the women were asked, as they have been every year, to start off the sweat on Wednesday to set the intention of a good and safe gathering, a healing for those who are grieving people lost to COVID, lots of them, so many people still struggling, and that we're better together, okay, as a community. That's the intention the women have been asked to set. Then the men will carry that through, the next sweat will carry it through, and then John will pray about it on Saturday. The sweat lodge is about, you need about 4 hours, sometimes more or less. It is, it's a place to pray. It's a very humble place to pray. In Cree, you would call it a matotsuin, which means a place to cry. And sometimes to heal, we need to cry, let go, release. And the woman, it's like the feast. The woman will sit on one side, the men on the other. It's about balance. No one's better or worse. It's a teaching in balance. And you need to have at least 4 days clean and sober from recreational drugs, because you need to be very clear about what you're doing and why. We have had almost 2-week-old newborn babies in that sweat lodge, to 92-year-old women. It's a very safe place that Indigenous people and beyond now have found to be a good place, to keep doing the work that will help them get better.
And how many fit in there? Like, and do I have to stay for the whole 4 hours, or do people come and go, or how does it
You
work?
can come and go. But we prefer, when you come to a sweat, you usually try to commit to all 4 rounds. 4 rounds means there's 4 songs sang every time the door shuts. That happens 4 times. Each round is about acknowledging what gives us life, letting go of what's holding you back, or acknowledging what's holding you back, saying it publicly sometimes. The 3rd round is about healing from it. 4th round is gratitude. It's good if you can stay for all 4 rounds, but we don't force people. You know, if they want to get out after the first song, get out. You know, it's very intense. Some
Mhm.
people really zoom right in. Others, they're a little resistant, and that's why we ask for the sober time. And
Do you know what's helpful is we have a protocol list with some of the
mhm,
things that Cork's mentioning on for people who have never been to a sweat before,
yeah,
right? So that there's little tips in there.
Mhm.
yeah.
And
Mhm.
that's helpful. But it's just as we're doing today, it's good to find out what does this ceremony mean, you know, and how
Yeah.
many people
You
are
know, a lot of
there.
people say, "Can I come to a sweat? I've always wanted to go."
Yeah,
And it kind of over time you figure out who's there as a tourist
yeah,
Mhm.
and who's there because they really want and need to be there.
yeah,
Mhm.
And
yeah,
yeah, it's not something to play around with. It's not a recreational sit in a sauna and
yeah.
clean your pores out type thing,
Yeah.
clean your head out type thing.
Yeah. But like, silly question, like, is it hot in there, or is it
Very
just,
hot.
it is hot? Okay.
Yeah, and it's like being in your mother's womb.
Mm.
Okay, it's very dark. It's very
Mhm.
warm. It's very wet from the steam of the rocks and the water,
Mhm.
and it's very peaceful. It's very you're not in there alone.
Yeah.
And then when that sweat's over, you crawl out, just maybe like a newborn baby,
Mhm.
comes out of its mum, and you start again. You try, try to do things in a good way again until maybe it's time to go to another
Yeah.
sweat.
Wow.
And you know what? We don't turn anybody away unless they are harming the
Yeah,
community of the sweat.
yeah.
Mhm.
If they show up loaded, sometimes we'll say, "Hey, why don't you just sit by the fire, check it out this time, and next time we'll bring you in."
Well,
And
in Cork, that brings up a good question. Um, is that okay to do if you don't like? Okay, so let's say here's my intention. Okay, so I went to the sweat, um, and I don't know, I was maybe menopausal at the same time, but I found the heat too much for me, and I never go in a hot tub. I'm not a sauna girl. I don't know. I wanted to be out in that fresh air right away, right?
yeah,
After a little bit. Now, but I wanted to be there. I wanted to
mhm,
hear that and feel that. Like you don't feel that from the outside like you do in the inside.
mhm,
And I really wanted that. And since then I have.
mhm,
But then I thought it would be really cool to be there and listen, to the chanting, the singing and the
Mm.
everything and be by the fire and like, is that okay to do, Cork?
absolutely, because they say the people on the outside of the lodge are getting the same healing as the people on the inside of the lodge.
Yeah.
And
Like I just want to be around that
yeah,
noise and that air and that love, like
yeah,
it was really cool that sweat. And I found like, and you know what helped with the heat for me right away? And some smart chick told me, grab a towel, put it over your head, and that
mhm,
helped me a lot,
mhm,
right?
yeah,
So I thought, okay. But what I loved about it is I knew how many people were in there, and yet I felt alone, not scared alone. I was by myself in there,
yeah,
although I was surrounded by a whole bunch of people that could
yeah.
help me if I needed
It's
it. That's
very
what I felt like.
personal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was cool.
Yeah, it is. It's a beautiful thing, and
Yeah,
but it's not something to be taken lightly.
no,
Mhm.
So a lot of people will say, can I come? And it's okay, yeah, but why don't you just hang around, see what happens first?
yeah,
Sit in on the prayer round
yeah,
and try the first round maybe. If it's not for you, out again. And
yeah.
we don't. It's not a forceful thing, and
Mhm.
Yeah, it's a lovely thing.
it
This is a
is.
lovely thing.
It's a gentle lodge because some lodges aren't.
Yeah,
Some are very super, super strict. But
Mhm.
George taught us with kindness and gentleness and humor, and that's what we try to
yeah,
Yeah.
do.
that's the
Awesome.
best way.
So
That's so
cool.
cool, Cork.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, One more question that I had. So you mentioned there is food. Like, do people have to bring their own food as to and to share it, or
If they
what
want,
is it?
you
What
know,
is it like?
Safe Harbor feeds the community that day. We have, this year we're giving out a lot of canned and dry goods in the giveaway. I think we all have enough tea towels and plastic
Oh,
bowls.
Yeah. Yes.
You know, so this year we're
Yeah.
putting out lots of soups, lots of vegetables, lots of
Practical.
pastas.
Practical.
Yeah,
Yeah.
practical stuff.
Yeah.
If you want to bring food, again, like before, if you're on it, you're thinking of your mom or dad or your friend that used to live on the street, what was their favorite food? You know, maybe you'll bring that. And
Yeah.
even if it's only 5 or 6 chicken wings, they're going to get handed out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome.
And don't bring, you're going to eat lots. You're going to leave with a lot of food. And what we ask people is to bring their feast bag. That's so important because
Yes.
our feast was probably the first, if not one of the first, to go really, really super green. Okay, that means we're not handing out a lot of styrofoam. We're not handing out a lot of paper plates and plastic forks. We try to make sure there's as little garbage at the end of the feast as possible.
Yeah. Perfect.
So everybody brings their feast bag. That'll include some containers with a tight lid because you're going to get stew, berry soup. Someone might bring chili, some, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
We also put in there some Ziploc baggies or a roll of paper towels or some wipes.
And your dishes.
Your dishes, your cup.
Yeah.
And that's what you'll put out in front of you.
Yeah.
And that's what you'll take home with you. And then all those Scopios, all those young men are going to go around, and there's going to be a lot of food. They're going to hand out all the food, all the drinks until there's not one crumb left.
Wow.
And only then can you eat.
Yeah, after John's finished praying.
Yeah.
And then you eat. We eat together. You know, food is life. Food is nourishment. You know, we're feeding each other so we can keep going for a little while.
Yeah.
I love
Feast
that.
bag is super important. Also, it goes rain or shine, Kirsten. Even if it's pouring rain, we still have to carry on.
Yeah.
And that's when we'll move into the teepee and fit as many people as possible. But rain or shine, make yourself comfortable. Bring your chair, bring a blanket for the kids, bring an umbrella and a hat. You know, be prepared for Alberta weather.
Yeah.
As it goes rain or shine.
Awesome. So let's just share maybe the times again. I will also put it in the post. So it's so the sweat lodges are this week. So so Wednesday, I'm just looking at the poster here. So Wednesday, the 11th at 5, is that correct? Is the sweat lodge for women?
Yeah.
Yes.
Thursday, the 12th at 5 for men.
Yes.
Friday at 5, co-ed.
Yes.
And community and helper sweat on the 14th, which is the Saturday. Yeah.
And whenever the feast stands, that's the only one we can't really put a firm time on.
Okay.
So once the feast stands, all of a sudden John will get up and start walking towards the sweat lodge and roll. Oh my God, it's time to sweat.
Okay. And on Saturday, it starts at noon.
It starts at noon. Come a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
And give yourself at least 2 or 3 hours. And bring your family. No dogs. Don't bring your pets.
Yeah, no dogs.
Yeah.
Because there'll be lots of ants.
Yes.
Around, yeah.
Awesome. That sounds fantastic.
Thank
you so much, Corky. Is there anything else you would like to share, or you, Kath?
Well, the saddest thing I have to say is I can't come to the feast this year. I have a funeral on Saturday afternoon, the same time that I have to be at. Yeah, we lost a really special harbor guy, or not a harbor guy, but a friend of Safe Harbor a couple weeks ago, and an avid supporter. So I have to be at that funeral. So I'm going to miss the feast, and I'm sorry to miss it. But now that I know I can come and hang around that sweat fire, I think I would really like to be able to do that on Wednesday.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Yeah, soak up some of that magic.
Yeah. Yeah, and
Awesome.
when the women sweat, it's somewhat, it's probably like when the men sweat.
Yeah.
A
Yeah.
different vibe happens, and the men get really, oh,
Yeah.
more heat, throw it on. Let's.
Yeah. Yeah, we were talking about the sweat at leadership last week, and I was telling the staff that for a sweat and for the feast, the men and women sit on different sides of the circle, right?
Mhm.
And so we were talking about that, and we thought, oh, that's probably a good idea, because if the men are over there, women can talk about them. They can't hear anything they're saying, right? Yeah.
And we do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ah, awesome. Okay, thank you very much for joining us today, Corky.
Okay.
Yeah, Cork.
Has
Yeah,
been a
I'll see you
pleasure.
down there.
Yeah, love you guys.
Yeah,
Love you
and
back.
Keep
So-
going.
yes, and so we hope that the weather is fantastic, but even if it's not, like the show is, the feast is will be happening.
Still a go.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so
Okay.
much.
Love you
Okay.
guys. Bye bye.
Okay, and as always, Kath,
Steady as she goes.
steady as she
Yeah.
goes. Thank you.